Okay, so let's continue here. What I want to do now is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to turn off all these layers. And I want to show you how to make a selection. So we're just going to turn all these off. And then we're going to invert the image. We're going to go image. We're going to do rotate. And I'm going to rotate it clockwise. So it's going to rotate it, and now I'm going to use my magnetic lasso tool. And I'm using Photoshop CS6. And so with CS6, it starts at the arrow rather than at the point, where CS5, it starts at the point over here. So whichever version you're working on, just know how it works. Now, we got to talk about how the magnetic lasso tool works. And the way that it works is it looks at edge contrast, the difference between her hairline here and this blue background that's over here. And so first thing I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to do Control J to copy the layer. And you can see that now I have two layers of that. Control J just automatically copies that layer that you're on. And so that's so I don't ever really ruin my original layer. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button here, because again, I want to come up to brightness and contrast. You can see it here, and I'm going to raise my brightness quite a bit. I'm going to go to about 78%. I'm going to say OK. And now I'm going to be back on this layer. And what I've just done is I've increased the contrast between the edge of the line of her versus the background here. And so I'm just going to click. I have a feather radius of 1. Depending on your resolution, really is going to affect on what feather radius you want. You don't want 0, because that's going to look like a cutout. You might want between 1 and 2. And so I'm going to use 1. And I'm going to click on her hair here, and you can see that it set an anchor point. And now I'm just going to go around. And as I'm going around, it's seeing the part of her hair. And if I don't get it all, that's okay, because I'm going to show you the pen tool after this. And the pen tool, I'll be able to grab whatever I want. And so now when I come to a corner, I'm going to click, because I want to tell Photoshop that we're getting ready to do an abrupt change in the angle. And so again, I'm here at the corner. I'm just going to click, and now I'm going to come up to her hand. And we're just going to come across her hand here, and I'm just looking at the edge of the contrast here. I'm going to get her shoe. I'm going to come to about right there. And you can see that Photoshop's fighting me a little bit. That's because it's having a hard time seeing the edge of this contrast. So I'm clicking a lot smoother now. A lot more. Let me rephrase that. And so here at the black part of her shoe is going to automatically jump up and see the white. And that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get that with the pen tool. And now when I get to her skin, I'm going to come down here. And we're just going to wrap that around. Boom. Just want to wrap that around. And now I'm going to move this up. And that's okay. We're going to come here. We're going to come over to her hand. About right there. And now I'm going to click. We're just going to follow that arm up. All the way up. Now I've got a little bit of an edge light coming in on her arm, which is giving me that highlight that you're seeing here. And that's really enabling Photoshop to see the edge of the contrast of where her skin is versus where the background is. So I'm just going to come up here. Now I'm going to have a hard time with her hair in here, because there's so many ragged pieces, and it's very, very hard to try to get all those little pieces out. And I can show you a few tricks. I also use Topaz Remask, which is the only plugin I've ever used for Photoshop, and I really like it. It's a very good program, and I would suggest maybe even getting it. It's a heck of a program. And so you can see here that I've got all this. So now there's two keystrokes you need to know. The Alt key, and if you watch, when I do the Alt key, I get a minus sign. When I do the Shift key, I get a plus sign. So Alt is to subtract, and Shift is to add to the selection. Well, I got this right here that's all selected, so I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and now I'm going to click in here on her arm and her waistline here, and I'm just going to follow that down. Now when I get to the pants here, it's not going to want to go to the pants, it's going to want to go to the thumb. And so now I'm cool with that, so I'll go into the arm. I'm just going to bring that up, set an anchor point to tell it we're turning a sharp point, and now we're there. So now I got a pretty good little outline of her, but you can see there's places that I missed. And now I want to talk to you about this tool right here, which is the pen tool. And the pen tool is kind of a spunky little tool. It's there's not a lot of people that use the pen tool, and that's a shame because it's one of the best selection tools there is. And so I just want to show you the pen tool, and we're going to come over here, and I'm going to click, and you see that it sets an anchor point, sets an anchor point, it sets an anchor point, and it sets an anchor point. And just like the lasso tool, you got to end where you started from. And when you do, you get that little circle that shows up right at the pen telling you that you are ending where you started from. So now I want to show you that. So the key to the pen tool is I'm going to click now one time, and I'm going to click and hold down my mouse, and I'm not letting up off the left mouse. And now I'm going to drag, and you can see that it gives me these two handlebars, and I can bend that line. Everybody can see that, so you can see that it bends. Now I've released it. I got the curve that I want. Once you get the curve that you want, you need to hold down the Alt key and click on that anchor point, which will get rid of one of your lines. Now this bar up here is what's controlling that line. If I hold down the Control key, I can grab that bar and readjust my anchor point, and that's really cool. But the key thing is once you bend it, you need to alt the anchor point so you get rid of one of the handlebars. If you do not do that, watch this. And now I'm going to let go. And I got to bend here, and I'm not going to click on that anchor point now. And you will see that it doesn't bend from the anchor point. It's going to bend from outside of the anchor point. Everybody see that? Look how far outside it's bending from. And so again, if you bend it, you need to hold down the Alt key. You need to click on the anchor point to get rid of that one handlebar. And then you need to bring this here. This is called a path. And if I show you now, you can see that I have a path here. And a path takes literally no memory whatsoever for Photoshop to really remember, because basically all it's done here is I made 1, 2, 3, 4 anchor points, and that's like Photoshop remembering 4 dots rather than everything that's contained inside the selection, etc., etc. And so I'm just going to undo that. And now I'm going to come over here to her head, and I'm going to blow this up. And you can see I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to do that curve so it brings it up and around on top of her hair more. And that's looking pretty good. I'm going to come all the way over to here. I don't need to bend that right now. And now I'm going to come to here, and I'm going to bend that going up to around her hair. If I bend it, I got to alt it. So now I'm going to bring this into her face. And that's about perfect right about there. And now I'll go to where I started at, and you can see that I get the circle here. And I'm going to click there. Boom. And I got that. I'm going to say, yes, that's good. Now I'm going to come down here, and this is what's called a sub-path. And I'm going to make a second one. I'm going to grab her shoulder blade right here. So I clicked right here, and now I'm going to click right here, hold down the mouse, and now I'm going to just bend that up. And now I'm just going to come down into her skin, so I make sure that I have it. Boom. Got it. And so now I got 2 paths made on this one thing. You can see it right there. You can see that I have 2. But now I need to get the shoe. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click this area, and I'm going to bend that up just so I get the top of the heel. And now I'm good here, and now I'm going to come to right here, and I'm going to get the bottom part of the shoe, and I'm going to make that curve so it gets it. Boom. Good. So now I can come all the way over to here. I'm going to click, and now I'm going to bend that, and so I get it there. Now this is good because I've screwed up. Look, if you see here, I got the bend, but I can't get it all the way over here. So do Control Alt Z. Control Alt Z undoes one step at a time. So now I'm just going to come to here, just going to grab that and get it in there. Good. And now I'm going to come over to here, grab that part of the shoe, and I should be able to get it all now. Good. So now I'm right there, and now I'm just going to come up to here, to here, and to here. And now I'm going to got the rest of the shoe, but I haven't made it a selection yet. And we're just going to see I got a little bit right here in her shirt. So I'm just going to go here to here. We're just going to bring that up, bring that to here, and bring that in. And now I got all these additional paths made here. Now I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say make selection, and I'm going to come down to add to selection. You can see that I already have a feather radius of 1. I'm going to say okay. You might need to watch this a couple times to really get the knack for that. But if you look at this, now I've got everything on this image. Everything that I want on this image. Now remember, Photoshop has automatically seen the edge contrast on this. So right now I'm going to turn that off. Here's the original image. But what I'm going to do, because Photoshop has seen the edge of this, it's seen the edge of the contrast between her and the background, is now I'm going to go to select, I'm going to come down to modify, and I'm going to contract the selection by 1. But right now I'm going to say it by 10 so you can see it, and then we'll undo it and do it again. And I want you to see this. Let me blow this up. No, it's not going to let me do it. But watch this. What I'm trying to do, I'm going to do Control Z, Control Alt Z, and I'm going to undo it. So look, there it is. It's seeing edge of the contrast. Now I've done 10 pixels, so it's cutting into 10 ways. Now watch. See how much it's cut into her skin? Well, 10 is too much, so now I'm going to do select, and I'm going to do it properly. Now I'm going to do modifier, I'm going to do contract. Now I'm going to do contract by 1 or 2. And right now I'm going to do 1. And it's going to cut into her skin now. And so it's just contracted that selection, so I make sure that it's into her skin and not getting any fringing of the background coming in over here. So now I'm going to do Control C to copy it. And these 2 layers I'm going to throw away, just because they've done their purpose, and I'm just going to come up here to this layer. I'm going to do Control D to deselect, and now I'm going to do Control V as in Victor to paste it. And there she is. And there she is. Now, it's a little sharp. You can see that. It's a little sharp here, especially on her hair. But I'll go in there and I'll mask that out, especially when I start doing the smoke and everything that I'm going to be doing to it. And so that's the reason why I did it like that, except I did it on a horizontal. So if I turn this back, and then now I'm going to do image rotate, I'm going to do counterclockwise. And just give that a second because it has a lot of layers in it. So now I'm going to come over here and to my girl, and I'm going to click it on, and you can see this I did with Remask, and it's a much better selection of her hair. But when I turn this image on and start adding all the balls and everything to it, it gets hidden, and as long as it's hidden, it doesn't bother me. So you can see that there. I'm still a little bit edgy right there, but that's okay. That's okay. The image is working out just fine. So we're just going to turn these on. And then finally, boom, boom. And there's the final image of that. But it's important that you understand that. And again, I'm just going to turn everything back off because I just want to go over that pen tool one more time with you, just to be sure that you have it. And then we're going to move on to the next phase. So just let me turn everything off. And now I'm going to come down here to the white area. And again, the pen tool is just click 1, 2, 3, and then close. But if you bend it, what you need to do, I already got one anchor point. Once I click and I hold the left mouse down, I can drag my mouse. And what you want to do is you want to click on every high point and every low point of a person. So if you bend it, hold down the Alt key and click on that anchor point. That's very important that you understand that. Very, very important that you understand that. And I will demonstrate in this Topaz as far as doing it, because Topaz is a heck of a program and it works really well, and I think you can get it for like $50 for the program. That's well worth it. So we'll do another one of these using Topaz, and I'll let you see how I do that selection. So let's do that next.